As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to episode 54 of Zero to Hero. We've got a great guest coming at you again today. He is the owner of KC Showdown Promotions. If you were just at World Wheels this weekend out at Bartle Hall, you probably ran into him. His name is Denny Eddy. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Denny, how you doing today, brother?
How you doing today, sir?
Oh man, no complaints at all. So let's get into this thing. Denny, what is KC Showdown Promotions? Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about what you guys are doing.
All right. What we do is we promote and host car shows in the Kansas City, Missouri metro area, and we try to we're trying to expand ourselves to get us out there more. We've been in business for about maybe 5 years now, and we're still growing. So what we like to do is what we like to tell everybody is we love to meet people, and we like to get outside and enjoy the day. And what better way is to have a car show, because that brings people together for the love of cars.
Absolutely, yeah, and there's obviously a ton of enthusiasts around the Kansas City area. You know, we see some of the custom builds that are driving around. If you're driving around out there, sometimes you don't see them because they're in a garage, which is a good thing. So it's good to get everybody out there together and, you know, share that love. You guys go to some cool spots as well. I believe I saw a video of you down there at Union Station. Was it up on the parking garage there?
Yes, sir. That is our night show. We call that imports versus domestic.
Okay.
This year we had a pretty good crowd out there. We had about 350 cars total.
Wow.
And that is for the top floor. And we took up majority of the fourth level because it's a 5-level parking garage. It gets a little rowdy up there. It gets a little crowded, but we had a DJ with a light show going on and everything. And we got, I don't know if you ever seen some of those cars with the underglow kits on them.
Oh yeah,
that light up. So what we did is probably about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we came up with the idea of having a show instead of waking up at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and getting to the show and sitting out there all day, in the sun. We say, hey, why don't we take the show and move it to night? So what we did is we got a hold of Union Station, talked to them about it. The top parking garage was never being used, and worked out a deal with them to where we can use it from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. And it's from the first year we had it, there was probably about maybe 150 cars total. Then every year after that, we have gotten bigger and bigger. And this year total was 350.
Yeah, that is like Jen said, that is a lot of cars. 350 up on that parking garage, and I agree with Ebony as well. The underglow, I don't know if it was like the Fast and Furious that made the underglow famous, or if that's just what made it famous for me. But ever since I saw that first movie, when I was barely driving, I was like, man, I got to get underglow on my car. And now I'm like 20 years later, I've still never done it. But I would love to have it on there. I've got a charger myself, and it would look cool as heck. But I don't know why I haven't done it, man.
It does. I mean, you see a car going down the highway or just driving around, and it's glowing from underneath. That right there is, pretty awesome. Like, hey, man, wow, this is pretty cool. Look at the car. Yeah. It's changing colors, and people love that. So we incorporated that into our Union Station show. Unfortunately, it got to be a little too big and a little too rowdy for Union Station.
Okay.
They gave me an email that says we probably won't be able to come back there, but we're trying to work on that show. So we hope if we get it somewhere. We got a lot of feedback this weekend at World of Wheels. People were telling me they liked the night show.
Yeah.
And for the reason, like I said, that it's a little more convenient for them to, okay, say if you're getting up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, you're washing your car, you're coming out there to the show, it starts at 10, you're out there until 5, you're sitting out there all day.
Mm.
And you can only look at the cars so many times before you get kind of bored of like, hey man, I already seen all these cars. I'm going to go sit down by my car, and talk to whoever comes up and asks me about my car. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, we got to figure out something to do, to where we can make it a night event, but have fun. Mm-hmm. So what we did this year is we had a mechanical bull out there.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And we had,
you would never expect that rolling up to a car show, an outdoor car show.
that was it. And that's what I was about to say. That's one of the things you don't expect when you go up to the car show. Like, man, They got a mechanical bull. And so, you make a bet with your buddy. Hey, I bet, you can stay on, or I can stay on longer than you can, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was fun. So I'm still looking for that rooftop. That's one of the things that people were telling me. Some reason they love the rooftop.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a great location. Yeah, you're right there at the south end of downtown. You can kind of see, the buildings in the distance. And that where that rooftop is basically street level, right? On the on the south side there. So, yeah,
pretty
that's
much
a great location.
And that's what I think everybody liked about it, because it was downtown. And it brought people to downtown. And I don't know if you noticed, I would say probably about maybe 15 years ago, downtown used to be dead. Mm-hmm. There used to not be a lot of stuff down there, but you go downtown now and there's just so much stuff to do downtown.
It's amazing.
Like they have opened it up. I know, man, the city, the city's changing, of course. So we were like, let's put it in a spot, Union Station, where we can keep it safe. We don't do or allow any of those sideshows where people are doing burnouts and donuts and stuff. And, in the middle of the street, I'm sure you've seen some videos of that and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like a burnout and doing donuts like the next guy. But when you got show cars rolling in there, there's a time and place for it.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be one of the questions that I was going to ask you, actually, because obviously we have all seen, typically it's the Mustang drivers, right? And if you got a Mustang, that's what the videos are, right?
You just called out all the Mustang people.
It is what it is, right? All the videos that are coming out when they're burning out around a corner, it's always, well, not always. It's usually a Mustang, right? So, but you're saying, hey, we're not getting, we're cutting all that stuff out of here. There's not a place for it here. You want to go do that, do it somewhere else. We're here to look at cars, talk about cars.
Yeah, because like I told them, I was telling the people up here, let's keep it nice and simple, drive safe. We got people walking around, we had kids walking around, families walking around. The last thing we want to do is worry about somebody, getting hit or anything. But once you leave the parking lot, once you leave the building, I don't care what you do.
Yeah, it's not on me anymore.
Once you get into downtown, that's up to you. You want to do some donuts and stuff, go ahead. And, Union Station was just a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Because you overlook, downtown background. The skyline was in the backdrop. It was just a nice place. And I'm still trying to get it back there for, 2023. But I'm just, right now, it's just fighting with the city about getting it down there and stuff. So hopefully they let me.
Yeah, just look. He's not letting anybody get hurt down there, guys. All right.
No.
Let him back.
Yeah, we had security. We had to hire security, and we had no problem with that. And like I told them, I said, if I have to hire more, I will. It was just a fun show. Yeah. But just sometimes you outgrow, and you got to move on. So we are going to have the night show again. It's just toss up in the air where we're going to have it.
Gotcha. Got you. Well, definitely be looking out on the KC Showdown Facebook page, their socials for when that show is and when it's going to show up here, or where it's going to be, I should say. But Denny,
Yeah.
let's get into the meat of the show here a little bit, man. So not KC Showdown Promotions, right? But who is Denny Eddy? Give us the elevator pitch about who you are.
Well, the reason, like, I'd like to tell everybody we started doing this is because I worked for, my dad was a spinal cord injury, and he was paralyzed from the waist down.
Mm.
And he opened up a facility here in town called Quest to Walk. It is now called Next Step Kansas City. And it was a spinal cord injury recovery center. Most insurance companies will not cover that type of therapy for people. And it's a 501c3, so we were looking for ways to raise money for the facility and to get people in there to where they didn't have to pick up the cost, because you got to pay out of pocket for that. And as you know, therapy is not cheap. So we came up with the conclusion of doing a car show for the first year in 2016, 2017. And we had it at a place called Stonegate Motor Plaza out there. So we had, a bunch of people out there come, and we had about maybe 100 people out there at Stonegate Motor Plaza. It was in Stillwell, Kansas. It's about maybe 10, 15 minutes south of Overland Park. So I got a hold of my dad and all them, and I said, hey, we want to raise some money. Let's do a car show. Let's make it fairly simple. Let me get the sponsors. And part of my job was to call around and get a hold of people and, ask them if they would like to donate, if they would like to be a sponsor. I couldn't find out. It was kind of easy for me to, because I kind of talk to people, and I would like to go in and talk to people face to face. A lot of people were like, hey, you can just email me. And I'm like, just let me come in and talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I feel emails and calling people on the phone is okay, but talking to them face to face was just something that was easier for us. And I found out, when you're talking to them face to face, and it sounds kind of funny because I tell people this all the time, it's not harder for them to say no.
Yeah.
They find it a little difficult if you're standing there and say, well, and especially for a good cause. We still use the proceeds, for our shows now that we do raffle items and stuff for Next Step Kansas City. So we're still donating and stuff like that, even though we don't what's the word I'm looking for here? We don't boost it enough. Because somebody's like, man, why don't you put that on your flyers, what you're doing this for? And I'm like, yeah, I do that all the time, what charity we're working for. But I feel like, it's just come to the show and I have them there. So that's how we started. We just started doing it for charity work, and it just grew from there. And so, because like I said, it touched home with my dad being paralyzed from the waist down. So when I was working there, I kind of got a good feeling of what some of the people go through in life, and they already got it hard enough. So why make it difficult for them to pay for their therapy? Let's just do something for a fundraiser. So that's
awesome.
how it started, and it took off from there. And now 5-6 years later, we're still going strong.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'll say what you want. You're a giver. That's I love hearing a story like that where it starts from a giving heart, and now we've got this awesome thing. Where people are able to come together and share a similar passion, right? A similar enthusiasm about the cars, man, and still doing good work, right? Still giving back, which is an awesome thing, man.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. I was like, you come out to the car show. There's one thing we want you to take. There's a couple things we want you to take away from this. A, it's fun. B, you're getting to meet people and they'll talk. You can sit down and talk to anybody about their car. I mean, I can talk to you for about an hour about my car and I'll tell you the whole story behind it and stuff like that, like where it came from. And, there are some cars where people get their car passed down from generation to generation. Like, hey, this was my grandpa's car. He drove it back in high school. then, sorry about that.
Now you're good.
And sorry about that. He drove it back in high school, and he passed it down to my dad, and my dad had it, and he passed it down to me. So you get to meet new people and hear stories like that are just overwhelming. Like, hey, here's a 50-year-old car that's been passed down to 3 generations,
Yeah.
and it's just awesome.
Yeah,
And
I love seeing those in great shape too. Where it's like
oh
they clearly have
yeah,
taken care of it through the generations too. It's not a rust bucket. It's still looking almost
oh yeah,
like it just came off the dealership lot to begin with.
oh yeah, yeah.
I love it.
We get a lot of cars like that to where, you know, people keep them pristine. And I had it's funny you say that. I had a buddy of mine who keeps his car in a air controlled or climate controlled
Oh
garage.
man.
And I mean, you walk into his garage and it's just clean and immaculate. And his wife's always, he cleans more in there than he does in home, or he does inside. I'm like,
That's
that's
so
funny.
funny.
That's funny because his garage is, the floor is sweat and it's got, climate controlled and it's all nice and neat. And, you know, and this guy, he works in construction. So I know he gets dirty.
But not in the garage. He's not taking that stuff off in the garage. Huh? That's out
Yeah,
back.
no, no. So
That's
I can
awesome.
tell everybody it gets us outside,
Yeah.
instead of nowadays people are, watching TV a lot, and I tell the kids, come on, let's get outside and let's go and enjoy the outdoors, especially on a beautiful day when it's like 75 degrees and sunny, you just it gets us outside. And I think meeting new people is one of the main things we love about doing this.
That is awesome. And I love that segue into our next question, actually. So, one of the other things that keeps us from going outside is TVs, which you mentioned, but also the phones, right? We get
Oh
these
my God,
kids
yeah.
and the phones, right? But there's a lot of socialization that happens within that technology as well. Now, I'm with you. We got to get outside. But the reason that I say that is I want you to tell me a little bit about your social media journey, because I know that that's been a big part in kind of spreading the word about KC Showdown and actually getting people to come outside. So tell me what that's been like for you.
Yeah, it's been tough because I'm in my 40s, and my daughter, she's in her 20s, and she can hop on the phone and do so much stuff. And just from the point of Facebook, Snapchat and all that, and she shares everything with everybody about the shows and stuff. Me, I try to get on there and do as much as I can, but she can pop on there in 5 minutes and have thousands of followers following something where I get on there and I'm trying to do it. So I'm like getting a couple hundred followers. And social media has been great for us because that's the spread of word. I mean, you get on there and post something and you get everybody sharing it, and it's just out there. To me, I'm still old school, so I pass out flyers. And I get a buddy of mine. He's like, man, you got to stop passing out these flyers. Flyers, you pass out 10,000 flyers, you're still printing them up. You're still passing them out. And I'm like, that's just me. I
Yeah.
got to do that, until I get this social media thing down packed. But my daughter can get on there and and just share to like 5 different platforms. And it's so amazing, because nowadays she could post something on there and it can take off, and videos and stuff. So we try to do videos and put it out there on social media and stuff. And hopefully everybody likes it enough to where they, come to the show. Because I was talking to somebody the other day and he was like, hey, what would you do if you didn't have Facebook for events and you didn't have this and that? And I'm like, well, here's where you fall back into place to going old school, passing out flyers.
Yeah.
And it's all word of mouth, because before, Facebook and everything, you had to pass out flyers and word of mouth. Now, you can go in there and look up 20 different car shows happening in 1 month,
Yeah.
And still, lock them in your phone as your in your calendar and say, hey, that's the show I'm going to go to. So I'm still passing out flyers, but I'm also hitting the social media, like we said, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, it's been our friend. So we love it. You know, a lot of people,
Perfect.
you're not gonna be able to rely on it one day. Yeah, you know, if not, I'll fall back to flyers.
I love that. I love everything you just said. So this is actually something that we've been talking about at J29 for quite a while, right? Being that we are a digital marketing agency, right? Is, what
Yeah,
what happens if social media is gone tomorrow, right? What if TikTok's
yeah,
gone tomorrow? What if Instagram's gone tomorrow, right? What are people going to do, right? And how do you kind of create that holistic approach to your marketing to where even if your tool is gone that you're using, as soon as the next one pops up and you start using that, people are still going to relate to you, right? Because you've built up the brand enough from
yeah,
looking at the whole picture, right? So I love that you said that, man. That's so good. And it does
yeah.
take, the print is, you don't let anybody tell you that print is dead, okay? Because I'm sure
No,
some of those people that aren't on, and especially with your client base, right? You probably got some older heads that have some really nice cars. They're not going to find out about it from a TikTok or a Snapchat, right? Maybe from Facebook, but you put that flyer in their hand, you know where to get them, get that flyer in their hand, and maybe that's the only way that they find out about that, where they wouldn't have
yeah,
been.
I had a yes, sir. You're correct there because I had a couple of older gentlemen that a couple of years ago we put a map on the back of our flyer on how to get to where we were going,
Smart.
and the gentleman called me up and he's like, I can't find your car show, and I was like, okay, it's right next door to the Kansas Speedway. It's at the Monarch Stadium, which old T-Bones. Um, and he was like, I can't find it. And I was like, just follow the map on the back of the flyer if you got one. And he's like, yeah, I do. I was like, well, just put it in your Google Maps and it'll bring you up. And he's like, oh, I don't have Google Maps. So I was just like, all right, so here's one of those things where they don't use it, but everybody else might. So we started coming up with points of reference. So, like, hey, look for the Kansas Speedway. We're just north of it. There's a hotel right there. So it's pretty easy to find. But yeah, you got to look for social media sometimes for guidance. But then you look for it too much for guidance, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, don't
And
get
you could.
too reliable on the tool,
Yeah.
right? The tool is
Yeah.
just the way that the thing that we're using to get the message out there, right?
Yeah. Because, like you said, what if one day, boom, all the lights went off? Then where are we as a society? Like, how are we going to lead or guide ourselves? We're just going to have to go back to the old days of just going and getting out. you know
Yeah.
uh I
Yeah, I
told
mean, we did it before, right? Like that, you had the
yes,
radio and the TV
that's
ads. That was
right.
kind of the thing, and then the social media thing popped up, and it's like, why would I spend 10 grand on a TV commercial when I can just put the ads out there on social media for free,
Yeah,
And then they
yeah.
start charging, right? So it's an ever changing landscape, and it's good that you got your daughter to kind of help you to keep up with it because I'm not that much younger than you are, and
Yeah.
it's hard for me sometimes, right? Working in the field, I'm like, man, there's so many things now, and it's
Oh
changing
yeah.
on a daily and weekly basis. That it's like, if you don't have somebody helping you keep up with it, it'll leave you behind real quick. But
Yeah, that's I try to tell you know people that all the time, just follow our events. We try to keep them on the same dates every year, but they do change. We got so many people doing things nowadays for car shows, car events, and car meets, uh, that each weekend there's something going on.
that's
So
awesome.
what we like to do is keep our dates around the same time every year, so you will remember, hey, June 25th, that's a show, KC Showdown show. That's one of our staple shows, and every year we try to have it at the same place. And I told somebody, hey, we're moving it this year, and the guy was like, oh man. He's like, everybody knows it's at the Monarch Stadium, on June 25th. So we moved it over to E.H. Young Park over in Riverside, Missouri. Uh, but like I told him, I was like, if people follow you, they'll pay attention to where you're going. They'll pay
Absolutely.
attention to what you're doing. And if it's fun and if you put on a good show, people will continue to come out and support you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you've built that brand up and people have, they'll keep an eye out for you, right? And obviously you've done a great job if you've got people that are kind of keeping an eye out there. with kind of building that up. And if you were to disappear, I'm sure you've built that loyal following too. That's gonna they probably have your number, right? They say, Denny, where's the car show at,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And they find a way to get a
yeah.
hold of you somehow, right?
I tried to. That's another thing I tried to do, and people laugh at me too because they're like, "Who's doing business cards anymore?" Because you pass out a lot of them. I'm like, "Yeah, I pass out a lot of business cards because I don't want you to forget me. Then I
Yeah,
want you to be able to find me. Take a picture of it, lock it in your phone. I don't care what you do. Just do me a favor. Don't throw it on the ground, okay?
there you go. There you go.
I don't
Yeah,
want to. I don't want to walk by and see him laying on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah, just last week we actually had the owner of Alpha Graphics down in Belton Lee Summit, Eric Johnson,
Oh
on the
yeah,
show, and he was one of the things that he said to me a while back that really stuck with me was, with the digital business card, which a lot of people are trying to go to this digital thing, right? You
yeah.
scan that thing, you forget about it, it gets lost in your contacts, right? You don't remember what the person's name was, whatever the case. When you hand somebody a business card, they have to touch that thing at least 3 times, right?
Oh yeah.
When
Yep.
you
Yep.
give it
Yep.
to them, right? They're gonna put it somewhere,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna pull it out sometime and either throw it away or use it, right? Which is the third time. So I
Yeah.
was like,
They got to
what?
put it.
That's so true.
Pull it out of their pocket, put it on their desk. You do it like I do. I got a little cup holder that I got on my desk, and I probably got about maybe 150 business cards.
There you
So
go.
that way, if I ever need to reference something, I tell people, "Hey, just go look at my desk, and there's business cards for somebody." Because in this line of work that we do, car shows, um, I meet a lot of people that do various jobs. I was just telling a buddy of mine last night. He was like, "Man, I need somebody that's a roofer." Hey, I got a roofer. I got
There
a
you
guy
go.
that does roofing.
Yeah.
And before this, I was a screen printer. I did printing T-shirts, and that's one way I used to meet people too, because
There you go.
I printed T-shirts for fence company, roofers, and concrete people, construction people. So we're in touch with a lot of people.
That's so
And
awesome.
like I
Like,
said,
yeah, I got a
the
roofer
business
and
the
he's got a
business card,
'69 Chevy. He's got a
business
beautiful
cards,
Chevy to
man.
check out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
tell you,
you're right.
business cards are still in, and they still print them.
Yep.
I pass them out a lot because I want people, like I said, I want people to remember who we are. We always strive to be the best. There are a handful of car show promoters in the United States that are well known, and every time I introduce myself, hey, I'm Denny with KC Showdown. So that way it sticks in their head. They couldn't tell you my last name, but they probably think my last name is KC Showdown.
Denny
Because
KC Showdown.
everywhere I go, I'm introducing myself as Denny with KC Showdown. If it's out of state or out of town, wherever we're going, because we travel so much.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you're bringing that local feel, from Kansas City out there and spreading that out as well, man. We definitely appreciate that around here. So,
Yeah, I get a lot of people that ask me, how did you come up with the name? Why don't you just call it Showdown Promotions or just Showdown, or why KC Showdown? Especially if you travel to other states and, say like we go to Texas, we got a show in Texas, and it's KC Showdown Presents. And I was like, one, I love Kansas City. I moved here right when I was probably about 21, 22, and I've been here, for 20 some odd years. And yes, I love Houston, Texas. That's always going to be your hometown, home state, or whatever. But I love Kansas City. This place is just awesome. The people here are cool. I love them. Um, you know, it's got its ups and downs, but Kansas City is always going to be our home. So I'm not going to take away the KC Showdown part, because I get people who are like, "Hey, you're going to throw a show in Texas. You're doing," because next year we like to do 3 or 4 down there. And they were like, "Are you going to take away the KC Showdown?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to leave it on there just because I want people to know that we're from Kansas City." Now, if they take it as my name is KC, that's fine.
sure,
I'll take that
right,
too.
yeah. The perception is fine, right? But we know what it is.
Yep,
No,
yep,
that's
yep,
awesome,
yep.
man.
Yep.
That's awesome. So let's get to our next question here, Denny. Now, every superhero has a defining moment. Okay, what do you think yours is when it comes to your life and your career?
I think I'd like to see my kids take over this and do more into it so I could step away one day and it would continue to go on. My daughter and my son really love doing it, and I got them into cars at an early age to where I hope that they will continue to do this so that way if something were to happen to where I couldn't continue to do it, they can step in and do it. So if that be running the shows or taking over the cars and stuff, because we got like 3 or 4 cars that we're working on, and I like to add them to helping me out with working on some of the cars and doing their cars themselves. Like I gave my son a car, and I promised my daughter my car when it's kind of done. And I got an '87 Grand National that we're working on, and it's tossed up in the air on who gets that one.
Yeah, that's yeah,
So
you might have to have a fight over that one. That
yeah,
inline six, right? Grand
I
National.
think
Yeah.
yeah, I think I would hope that they would take over for me, so that way it continues. So that way they could build their reputation in the car scene, and that way one day I could just step back and let them do their thing. So that way it says, "Hey, I raised my kids right to do this, and we taught them well." So I think that will define us as a company, and continue to help us grow if we got uh, the kids working on it. Now I got a handful of people that work with me and that are real close, and we treat them like family and everything. And but I was thinking one day, I was hoping one day that the kids would want to say, "Hey, can I do this show this year? Can I take over this for you?" And that would make me humble, because I'm like, okay, at least we did something good, because the kids are already down the right path. They're working all the time. They're doing this, and plus they're helping us out with the car show stuff. So that's my hope is for them one day just to take over and continue and make it grow and make it go.
I got you. So the defining moment's kind of in progress, and then will kind of happen when
Yep.
they're ready to take the reins. It hasn't quite happened yet.
Yep.
I love it. I love
Yep.
that, man. That's so good. Now, obviously, superheroes also have attributes. So, to you, what attributes do you feel define what a hero is?
I think a hero is somebody that'll step up and do things for others, not just themselves. Now you can go out and do your charity work and stuff like that, but continuing to do stuff for others is the main thing. And not just yourself. Most people, they'll get out and do some charity work. They'll get out and do some stuff, but you really, I think, really got to do a lot more than that. Just showing people, hey, I can do this and that. It's just continuing to do it year after year after year without any kind of recognition. And I'm not looking for any kind of recognition. I'm not looking for an award. I'm not looking for a key to the city or anything like that. It'd be nice. But,
You're
just
not gonna say no,
it'd be
but that's
nice. But yeah, I'm not going to say no. But I think continuing to do what we do is pretty much about it. You know, we like to, that's our way of being heroes.
yeah. So it's not not the moment or two of selflessness, but really kind of embracing that persona within your life of just selflessness overall.
Yeah,
I
just
love it.
continuing the work that we're doing, trying to help others and just make sure they get something out of it more than what we get out of it.
I
I
love
would
that.
say that.
I love that. That's a great quote.
Yeah.
Now, last question here for you, Denny. If you had to pick any superhero and relate them back to you, right? So, what superhero would you pick that relates to you, and give us a couple reasons why?
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. Because man, there's so many. That's a hard question.
Yeah,
That's a
this one
very hard
always this
question.
is this is the one that always kind of stops everybody, and they're like, "Oh man, I got to think
Yeah,
about all the 7,000 superheroes that are out there," But we get some good
yeah.
answers out of it.
You've
So.
got so many. I mean, I can't. Really, man, that's a stumper, man. You just stumped me right there because I wouldn't be prepared to answer that one. But I'm not really sure on that one. I'd have to say that I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Uh, there's so, like you said, there's just so many, and I'm just trying to think in my head which one can I come up with real quick. But I have never. I tell you the truth, I have never thought about that. So I might have to just. I'm puzzled on that one.
You have to come back and put
So.
it in the comments for sure. Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh man, of course, Superman. Man of
Superman. All right,
Steel. So
going
he
OG.
can do everything.
Yeah,
If I had Superman, I'd be able to, go and set up the show real quick, set up all the cones, do everything I need to do, and get it done at lightning speed.
Yeah, you fly all the cars right there to it. Just go
Yeah,
pick them up.
there you go.
That's hilarious.
Snap your
I
fingers
know.
and everything's done from
There you
setup to
go.
breakdown. Because we got to set
Absolutely.
up, we got to break down all the shows and stuff. And man, I tell you what, being Superman would be. I would hope for that.
A whole lot easier. I love it. I love
Oh
it.
yeah.
Well, Denny, man, thank you for coming on the show. Real quick before we get off here, how can people get in touch with KC Showdown Promotions? How can they get involved? How can they keep up with what you guys are doing?
Of course, any social media, Instagram, Facebook, they're all the same. KC Showdown. You can always call me on my phone. I answer the phone. So if you want to call me, and my phone number's, if you don't mind me giving out over there, it's 913-980-1643. Or you can reach me at kcshowdown17@gmail.com, email too. People always ask me, will you give out your phone number or not? I don't mind talking to people. I like it. You want to call me and chit chat and call me and ask me a question about vendors and vendor spots and stuff like that, please do. We got a show that we're working on, 2024. It's going to be a 3-day indoor car show at Bartle Hall. So earlier we mentioned World of Wheels. It's going to be our show that time. And
Awesome.
it's in late September. So we're always looking for vendors. We're always looking for sponsors. So anybody would like to reach out to us, that's one way of doing it.
That's perfect. And you've got a show coming up April 30th, right?
Yes, sir.
Out there at the Legends Stadium or the Monarchs Field, whatever they're calling that out
Yeah.
there now.
It's called it's called the Legends Stadium. It's where the Kansas City Monarchs play. I always tell everybody old T-Bone Stadium. 1800 Village West Parkway. It goes on from 10 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. That's going to be our first show of the year. Hopefully the weather is super nice, because right around April, that's when it starts, springtime. That's when it starts getting very nice and say 75 degrees outside. So we're going to have a couple of, we have a hot wing eating contest going on that day. We have a motorcycle stunt team that we bring out. They do wheelies and stuff like that, going back and forth in the parking lot. So it is $25 registration and free to spectators. It's always free.
That's awesome.
We'd like to tell everybody it's free just to bring the family out. We have plenty of food trucks and everything, so come on out.
That's perfect. So yeah, get out there April 30th out there at the Legends Stadium and the Legends KCK, and check them out, man. Free to take the kids out. You can't beat free. So Denny, my man, thank you again for coming on the show.
All right, I appreciate your time.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.